In March, a Penn High School student took his life. Last month, a student from Elkhart Memorial. This new report with numbers from the CDC shows 1 in 5 high school students across the state of Indiana have considered killing themselves. 1 in 5. Tonight, I'm digging deeper into these numbers. I'm sitting down with a family who is living this nightmare right now. And I'm talking with school officials about what is being done to stop another high school student from committing suicide. This is indeed a tough topic. And while viewer discretion is advised tonight, it's something that we need to talk about. And maybe by talking about it, we'll save a life. Christian Turner was just 2 years out of high school when he shot and killed himself. Christian was just 20 years old. Family and friends tell me the Penn High School grad was the life of every party.
Christian was very outgoing, smiling all the time, happy. He loved his friends seemed to love him. He seemed to love life. You never would expect him to have been as sad as he was. People probably didn't know unless he told them.
I sat down with Christian's parents, Tina and Bill Turner, on March 28th, one day before the 1-year anniversary of their son's death. Christian started talking about suicide his freshman year of high school. The
counselor called me and said, "Your son's down here and he's talking suicide." Just the thought of losing him was so horrible that I really couldn't talk to him about it, you know. So at the time, because I wanted to kind of ignore, oh my gosh, I wanted to ignore what he said, but I knew that I couldn't.
They responded by getting Christian into a family therapist. They say during the 6 years of therapy, there were good months and months of complete darkness.
He was concerned about how many good days. He had so many good days in a row that he always was afraid the more good days you have, when the bad days come, they're that much worse.
Bill says the good days were great. Christian seemed happy, lighthearted, often turning to music. He taught himself how to play 5 instruments. His mom told me he could hear any song and play it. Music was his escape. But music wasn't all he heard. She said Christian heard voices too.
I think his deal was just not being able to understand himself and what was going on in his brain. And he would get very frustrated when the anxiety would kick in.
Christian was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
He seemed like he was doing fine, and he was really pushing himself to, exercise and, to keep his mind off things. And we thought he was, going in the right direction.
Finally, a breakthrough. With medicine and a positive attitude, the Turners were hopeful 2016 would be the year of change. Instead, it quickly would become a year they'll never forget.
He didn't think medicine was working, so he started turning to, marijuana use, alcohol abuse. He got a DUI, which then sort of set things spinning out of control. He, thought his life was over.
Fast forward just a couple of weeks to March 28th, 2016.
We had our normal conversations after that for a little bit, and then, the same, I love you and I'll see you tomorrow. And, as we walk out the door, I guess if I look at it now, so his way, he was telling me goodbye. In his way.
The next day, March 29th, Christian took his life.
It was horrible.
The anxiety and depression that Christian felt in high school is common, according to this random student panel ABC 57 News put together, made up of students from each grade from Riley and Mishawaka high schools.
There are a lot of people in school who, they feel depressed a lot, and there are a lot of people who self-harm. There have been a couple times where I've stayed up late with a friend trying to talk to them and comfort them.
My close friend comes to me a couple times and talks about it. She has a lot of family problems and relationship problems, so she has a lot of issues.
And does she know where to go to be able to get help?
I've told her, but she hasn't gone and got help.
So you are her help?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you in high school hear of people being depressed or talking maybe suicidal thoughts. With every hand up, we turn to the numbers. This report from the CDC, later broken down by the Indiana Youth Institute, lays out a shocking stat. During the last student assessment in 2015, 1 in 5 high school students considered suicide.
Your reaction when you hear numbers 1 in 5?
It's alarming.
I mean, I think that's, you know, when I hear that data, you know, I try to think about, you know, the kids I know, you know, and you, as a former math teacher, you kind of look at, okay, every 10 kids, and you know, and how does that even work?
Sean Gallagher is now the principal of Schmucker Middle School. He warns that times have changed, and as adults, we need to be as connected to our kids as they are connected to their devices.
When I think about, you know, growing up and the information that I was able to access from my friends, you know, we didn't have cell phones or social media, so I think, you know, there's a lot of, you know, communication that happens that kids can grab onto.
Which one's the worst one in your opinion, as far as the drama?
Facebook.
Facebook's the worst. And again, show of hands who has Facebook. All of you have Facebook. Dr. Cantinelli, Assistant Superintendent for Instruction at PHM, knows firsthand what it's like to lose a student to suicide.
It is probably the most difficult and absolutely gut-wrenching feeling. And any time that happens is once too many.
In response, Penn Schools adopted a student safety and wellness program called Lifelines.
We want students to know that it's okay to ask for help and to be able to reach out for help.
Lifelines is made up of 4 45-minute sessions incorporated into gym and wellness classes. The program launched in September. Across the district, the curriculum on suicide prevention starts in the 7th grade.
Is it tough to talk about kids in grade 7 and 8 about suicide?
You know, that's an interesting question. I think initially, you know, we thought it might be, but what we found when we implemented our lessons this year with our 7th and 8th graders that they were very open to these conversations.
Those conversations, students told me, they want to have and have more often.
I just feel like the subject should be talked about more.
Everybody thinks suicide and depression is a joke, when like I keep saying, it's not.
I mean, you have kids my age dealing with it. I deal with it on a daily basis, and it's hard. If I didn't have the support of my dad, I don't think I would have been here today.
You think you would have taken your own life? That's why programs like Lifelines are so important, going over warning signs, what to do when a friend's in trouble, and how to reach out when you're feeling depressed.
We also know that when students confide in another student, that a lot of times they'll say, "Now don't tell, please don't tell." And so the message from us and from Lifelines is to tell. You must tell.
Speaking up and saying something is essential so that families like Christians don't have to experience the same pain.
That ache you get in your chest and that emptiness of feeling nothing, that hurts worse than anything in the world. And I would say that's 24/7.
It's just horrible. And you just realize that the pain you feel right now is never going to go away.
The pain they feel will never go away. I want to thank Tina and Bill Turner for their strength in sharing Christian's story with all of us, to Penn Schools and our student panel. And I want to stress here tonight, there are a lot of resources for help on abc57.com right now already posted. We've included a link to the Lifelines program and to the National Help Hotline. For those of you watching tonight without a Lifelines program or something similar, ask your child what kinds of conversations they're having at school about suicide awareness and prevention. And if you think it's not enough, call the principal or superintendent and stress your desire for more education. Also exclusively on abc57.com, learn about Christian's Crusade, a look at what Christian's family and friends are doing right now to make sure his memory lives on forever. And tonight, only on ABC 57's Facebook page at 7 o'clock, I will sit down live with Christian's parents, Tina and Bill. They will share more about their experience and answer your questions. So make sure to log on to the ABC 57 Facebook page tonight at 7 to join in on that live conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.